God's mean, God's a bully, God's out to get me. That was my worldview. So I had to shift by the grace of God from that to God is loving, God is kind, God is for me. Then that's where you'll probably hear someone's guilty conscience or someone is entitled conscience, those two extremes on the spectrum. But again, those are shaped by worldview. And there's probably a lot, as again, the Spirit of God leads you to ask questions and to really get to know the person. But discerning someone's worldview becomes, it's helpful. Also, that person feels like you want to know them. They're not just a number that you want to study the Bible. Now, I'll close out on this point. What does all this have to do with apologetics? If someone has a worldview that believes in God, and if they are, let's say, wanting to, they have a question on Bible and science, the way you approach that is different because they already believe in God. Now you have to discern whether God is near, far, so on and so forth. But the way you answer the science question would be very different because they're not a naturalist in their worldview. For them, it may not be an issue. It might be a slight bump in the road, but it's not an obstacle. Whereas if you're meeting someone who is a naturalist in their worldview, they believe that natural processes is the way everything is, and there is no higher authority, there's no God. Helping them through this would possibly be, if not impossible, very, very difficult. Someone could be atheist, and this is, just hear me out. Someone could be atheist and have a deistic worldview. They may not tell you that. Deist is someone who believes God exists but is distant. For an atheist, that distance could just become absent. And again, on a spectrum, right? Some atheists are closer to agnostic than they are on the extreme atheist that it would be an evangelist for atheism, like we're evangelists for Christianity. So again, bearing that in mind, but I'm saying if someone is open to the worldview possibility that possibly there's a God, but he's probably just so far absent that he's almost non-existent, and maybe compound that with some church experience or religious experience that was not positive, and you meet that person, but as you discuss, you'll find that, I grew up in church or this and that, but I left because of this and that. You realize, hey, this person is open to a possibility of God, but what's affected them more is really these negative experiences and so on. That's a different apologetic experience than someone who actually is staunch. They are what we would be staunch evangelical. They're staunch atheists. They have a naturalistic worldview. You're still going with the grace of the Lord, but be aware that this person is strongly naturalistic in their worldview. And then it's about invitation. We'll get to that. And like I said, we'll do Holy Spirit tomorrow. The invitation examine worldview, which is what Bible studies really are. Are you open to looking into the Bible? Are you open to? And you may have to plow the field, guided by the Holy Spirit, of course, but you may have to use maybe other resources at your disposal to perhaps help the person examine and explore their worldview. And thankfully we have the community of Christ. You're not alone. We have access to resources like Doug Jacoby, or we have these resources you can point to, you can watch videos together, so on and so forth. But just so you understand that there needs to be some tilling of the soil that's happening, because fundamentally their worldview is very different.